I would like to take a moment before we get into today's main episode and to talk about my sponsor for the podcast. Podmatch is a new podcasting site dedicated to all podcasters. The platform helps hosts get connected with potential guests to appear on their show, as well as allow guests to find podcasts that will give them a chance to share their story. Podmatch offers many tools to help organize your page, from to-do lists to episode planning to potentially appearing on a leaderboard. Podmatch has it all. The best part, you have the potential to get paid. And who doesn't like to get paid from home? I like to. With an easy sign up, you can start connecting with podcasters and guests immediately. I have been a part of Podmatch since the beginning of May, and I have got to say that it was the best decision I've ever made because Podmatch helps your podcast grow. It helps you get connected with people that have very interesting, very compelling background stories that are just waiting for their story to be shared. So if you are a host or guest and would like to start building professional relationships, explore more opportunities, and have your story shared, I highly suggest that you sign up with Podmatch today by going to joinpodmatch.com/lethal venom to start expanding your network in seconds. I would like to give another huge thank you to Podmatch for sponsoring this episode. Now on to our main episode, and again, you can sign up at joinpodmatch.com/lethal venom to begin your podcasting journey today. Hello everyone, welcome to the Lethal Venom Podcast, the show where I talk about anything I want with the honest to God truth and the lies told. Today, our guest is someone who's mastered the art of talent on and off the court. From his early days as a professional tennis player to his current role as a chief talent officer at Venture Employer Solutions, Walter Sabrin has brought unmatched precision, empathy, and insight to the world of recruiting. He's not just a leader, he's a connector, strategist, and a global thinker. Walter oversees talent acquisitions across a vast international footprint, managing recruiting efforts for companies and clients in the United States, as well as Canada, Latin America, Africa, Mexico, India, and about 25 other countries. His work spans industries from PEO and BPO to HR outsourcing and HCM, and his team is known for delivering top-tier talent solutions across borders and cultures. With over decades of experience, Walter has built a reputation for directness, integrity, and a relentless drive to elevate people and organizations. He's a champion of the human element in HR, believing that technology should amplify connection, not replace it. Whether he's navigating workplace trends, mentoring rising professionals, or helping companies build dream teams, Walter's passion for people is always front and center. So I would like to give a huge welcome to Mr. Walter. Thank you so much for joining us today, and I can't not wait for a conversation today.
Well, Noah, I got to bring you everywhere I go because that was awesome. That was an amazing introduction. Listening to it, I didn't know who you were talking about. I was actually impressed and but very happy to be here. And I just want to say I'm thankful and grateful for you having me on your podcast. I really appreciate it.
Well, it's an honor to have you on. You have like a very interesting background, so please share with me what you do for a living and tell me how you got into being a HR professional.
Yeah, sure. First of all, Noah, War Eagle. So I just want to get that out of the way.
War
Um,
Eagle.
Even though we may alienate some of the audience, it's fine. I'm willing to accept it. But yeah, so look, my background takes me back to New York City, where I grew up, and I was raised by two parents who came from a different country, and they decided to take up tennis. So as a family, just wanting to spend time with each other, myself, my sister, and my parents, we started playing some tennis, and I enjoyed it. I liked it. I wanted to get good at it. And I did. I got really good. And I wanted to be then a college player and a professional player. And I wanted to be the next Roger Federer or Rafael Nadal. And unfortunately, I did succeed in getting playing Division One college tennis. And I played some professional tournaments. But Noah, what I learned fast was I wasn't good enough to make enough money to support that very expensive career of traveling around the world to play tennis. So I moved over to the corporate side, and I took my mental toughness onto into the corporate boardroom. And yeah, I found recruiting, I found HR to be something that I was very interested in. HR from a perspective of how cool is it to find people jobs? I mean, I thought that was really like an amazing opportunity. And on the recruiting side, I always enjoy meeting people and speaking to people of just different places in life, kind of like your podcast, maybe, because you probably speak to a lot of different people. So those two things combined got me into recruiting and HR.
So, the company that you own, which is your chief talent for Venture Employer Solutions, tell me a little bit about how that company came to be.
Yeah, sure. Just want to be clear, I don't own Venture. Venture is, we are a private organization, but I am the chief talent officer. A gentleman named Alex Campos, he is our primary owner of the company. He's the chief executive officer. We were founded in 2004. And so I joined the company 7 years ago. And what we do, Noah, our goal, our mission is to take care of anything in the HR world for our clients. So if you own a business, Noah, and you are busy making that business more successful, instead of having to worry about HR, compliance, the legal aspect, the hiring, the recruiting, we can do that. We can do that for you. And we're kind of experts in that field. So that's what we do. We provide that service, that solution for our clients.
So, how did Venture scale from 120 employees to over 40,000 employees in 6 years? And what role did you play in building that foundation?
Yeah. An amazing story, Noah. And sometimes it's for a recruiter like myself. It's like a dream to, come into a company and to have that kind of growth, which is not slowed down either. There's been two parts of our growth, one in the United States and two internationally. The first part in the US, it really has come down to some acquisitions. We've acquired some companies, but we are hiring all over the country. And maybe, it's just the fact that we're pretty good at what we do. We're fast to market, and our clients, they are growing, with us, or, so as they grow, we grow. And right now, in the US, we probably have like 1.5 million employees who work at our clients' offices. So over 6,000 employees now. It's just been tremendous. And then internationally, Noah, we have a company that we own. It's called Salvo Global. And Salvo Global, what we do is we hire people, let's say in Latin America. They work exclusively for our US companies out of our offices in Latin America, and they save our US clients like 65% because the wages, are just so much less. So they're finding great talent and spending a lot less money. And that's gone from zero to over 40,000 employees in the last 7 years.
So, what's your philosophy on identifying great talent across different cultures and industries?
Um, it's not complicated. Um, too many business owners, just the way too many people, they have certain perceptions. Um, like I heard you talking on one of your podcasts about like looking for a job, and in some respects, employers, they have these built-in perceptions about what's going to be a successful hire. And if you're not exactly that, they're not even willing to speak with you. And I think that's a huge mistake because I think you pass up a lot of good talent. And then on the other side, I think the general population, too often, they have a perception because maybe they read an article or maybe they had one friend have a bad experience, maybe with a certain company. So now the perception is, oh, I don't want to work at that company. I'm not even going to go meet them, even though they want to meet me. And I think that's just it's a little short-sighted. So, in my opinion, as far as companies looking for talent, how about let's take everyone one at a time? Let's not make a black and white decision. You know what? That if you have red hair, let's say, we don't want to meet you. We don't like people with red hair. So if you have red hair, you can't possibly be a great piece of talent. I disagree with that wholeheartedly. And I think, look, there's certain exceptions, right? I mean, if I'm looking to hire a pediatrician to be a doctor in a hospital to take care of children, I can't just bring in my friend because he's my friend. We need someone who went to medical school, they're certified, licensed, there are certain parameters, but I just like to knock out maybe some of those misconceptions.
Yeah, that episode was a little. I was scared to put that out there because of the experience I've been through when it came to job hunting. So when you mentioned that, I thought, oh Lord, the one episode. I was like, what? I was like, oh, of all episodes. But I made such good points in there of everyone has a different experience with it, but it's become so normalized now. It's you hear all these
What
stories
is
of
what's become normalized? What do you mean?
it's a lot of people are having such difficulties trying to find
Oh,
jobs
yeah.
and work.
Yes.
It's so hard to try to find a job now. Like I saw just today on my Facebook about this person had posted in a Facebook group in our county that are there any places around town that are hiring that are actually wanting to do interviews and are actually hiring people? And someone in the comments had recommended a place, and they said, and they replied back, I applied there weeks ago, have not heard anything back. And I thought, my point exactly of like,
Yeah. Yeah.
and it's been a pain.
Well, first of all, I'd like to say a couple of things. First of all, I thought that episode was actually a good one. Now, maybe I'm biased because I'm interested in that subject, but I thought you did. I thought you made some very valid points. Um, and to me, it just sounded like what you just mentioned now, Noah. What a struggle it is. It's such a struggle. And by the way, it kind of always has been, but it has gotten worse. Um, why can't companies just reach out and say, hey, you know what, Noah, thank you, but you're not what we're looking for. We're going in a different direction. Just that to me, it's common courtesy.
right.
Um, just like on the other side, some candidates are signing up for an interview. They're scheduling it Thursday at 2 p.m. and they don't show up. They don't call, they don't show up, they don't give common courtesy. And isn't maybe job searching a reflection of our society, maybe in that there's just not enough common courtesy anymore, personally, professionally, and certainly in the job searching world. Oh man, I mean it's really difficult.
That's a good valid question to bring up. And um I've run into not good common courtesy either. I've gone to interviews and have not really heard anything back. It's just ghosted. So that is a
Yeah.
really good point that I had not had noticed. So I think that's a really good point that a lot of people could bring up is have you been because I think the best thing to do is that if you're not suited for the job, is to follow up and say, "Hey, we appreciate you coming in for the interview. We appreciate sitting down with you. However, we just don't think at this point in time you're going to be a good fit, but you could be in the future." Even like an email like that could just be
Yeah.
common and professional. Just ghosting them completely and not saying anything. That I think it is a balance, and some people don't ever show up to interviews. So I get that point as well as of how they don't relay that message to the employer of, hey, I'm not going to be able to come in today. So I think that's a good point that both of us, I think there is a lack of courtesy on both sides. Um,
But you know what's even a little worse on the employer side? Now with AI and automation, it takes zero time for me to send you that email. Like zero time. I mean, you can have it automated, that if Bob Smith or Mary Jones is not going to be chosen, because, for every job, there's only one successful candidate. There could be 87 unsuccessful. So you have to reach out to the 87, 86 of them. However, it can all be automated these days. And let's just make it's just how about it's for the closure aspect of it. So that candidate knows that they can move on, look at other opportunities, in their job search. I just think it makes a lot of sense. And what I've found is that companies are very short-sighted because you know what? They're not just losing a candidate, they're losing a customer. They're losing that customer's friends and family. It really affects their brand much more than they realize. Because I think if they did realize it, they would have the common courtesy, even from a selfish business standpoint. If they realized how much it does affect, like the 6 degrees of separation kind of a thing. I don't know. It frustrates me also, and I'm on the employer side helping people find jobs, but I hear it all the time. It's very frustrating.
do you see, and this could be difficult from an employer side, but do you see recruiting getting easier in the future, or do you see people getting less and less or chances of jobs? Is that just going to keep growing, or do you see it getting better where people are able to get jobs more easily?
I don't see it getting better. Okay. I think the world of recruiting, because of new technologies, is improving. So it's making it more efficient, more automated, less, the less manual, then the more places you can reach out to. Um, Noah, let me take back what I said about maybe it's not going to get easier. However, I think we need to do a better job of training people. I'm gonna ask you a question. You didn't graduate from college too long ago, right?
Correct. Yeah.
Like a year or two ago?
Less than that, actually, like
Oh, okay.
December. So I've been out
Oh, okay. So
6 months.
December, you're out less than a year.
Yeah.
How well do you feel you were trained in school, whether it be college or high school? How well do you feel you were trained to take an interview, to create a resume, to build you to develop a solid professional looking LinkedIn profile? How well do you feel you were trained? Because I think we are letting down our youth in America by not training them on how to do job searches, on how to get themselves to be more valuable and desirable to companies. So I'm looking forward to your answer and just your experience where you went to high school and college.
Not great at all. It was very much non-existent. I didn't really. The first time I made a LinkedIn was when I transferred to Auburn 2022, or at that point 2023. So I've only had
Right.
LinkedIn for about 2.5 years. And that kind of explains how late in the game I was on LinkedIn. And then
Right.
building resumes and getting help on that was probably about 3 or 4 years ago. So middle school and especially high school failed us miserably in that department of job hunting and the process of going to job interviews and building up a good resume. I'll say it, they failed us big time. I didn't really learn all
Mhm.
this stuff till
Until
halfway
you,
or way into college.
and then you graduate, and it's look, in my opinion, you have to have your health. Your health is number one, but wanting to work and not being able to because you can't find good, proper employment, that's one of the most frustrating things that you will experience in life. That being said, shouldn't there be a job search course in college? So the kids, as they're learning they want to be a marketing professional, great. They want to be in HR, or they want to be an engineer, whatever skills they want to take into the working world. Well, you need to know how to go get that job. I just think it should be taught. So, back to your question on is it going to get easier? Well, are we going to do a better job of training our population to be able to, like, for instance, artificial intelligence, AI? If I was graduating now, or if I'm going to graduate next year, I'm going to start learning about AI because I'm not going to let AI take my job. I want to be able to learn AI because there's going to be new jobs coming out, new careers based on artificial intelligence and some of the new technologies. Just some thoughts.
Yeah, they do need a better course and a better rule book for preparing us because they kind of just throw us out there. Um, I sort of got a general idea of the job field, but I didn't expect it to be this difficult at the same time. It's
Right.
been, I knew it was hard, but I had no idea it was going to be this difficult and I've even tried finding places at general businesses, just like normal everyday convenience stores and that just to try to get my foot in the door. And one of my friends sadly made a good point. He said, the problem with you wanting to go to places like or is that they usually want to pay the minimum wage, and that is lower than what you're going to request because they know that you have graduated college, you have a college degree, and you're now living out in the real world. So that would entail for you to have a higher pay to be able to live on your own. And that they're not willing to pay that. They would instead want someone that's in high school or in college still that's not technically living on their own yet, they're still in school and still probably most likely living with parents or they have their rooms taken care of. They would much rather have those kinds of people hiring today. Now, a few years ago,
Yeah.
and probably 10 years ago, I don't think that would have been a problem. They would hire anyone because of how the rates were then. Anyone at any age could work. But since pricing has now gotten so outrageously high, they're not willing to pay. Say for me, it would be 15, $20 an hour to live just for as a 23-year-old in 2025. And see these restaurants, fast food places, and all these regular stores, they're not willing to pay 15, $20 an hour for that. They'd rather pay $7 or less than $10 an hour. And so it's someone said you're just in that middle. You're sadly in that middle between you're too experienced and you don't have enough experience because these journalism jobs that I'm wanting to apply to want 2+ years experience in news writing. 3 years experience in video production. They want all these years of experience when in college you're not going to get that experience. The best you might get is 1, maybe 2 if you're lucky of years of experience. They don't, you're not going to have the 2 plus. So it's, for me, I'm stuck in this middle ground of I'm way too overqualified or I'm not qualified enough and I can't find a job. I'm just stuck. And someone
Yeah,
said it's
yeah,
sad that that's how it is, that, but they said that that's usually how it is. They don't want to pay more than they want to. So that's why you're probably having a hard time.
yeah. Well, first of all, let me say I'm very proud of you that instead of sitting still, you created this podcast because now, just as a journalist, you have content that you can share. And these days, content is king. So I love that you're creating this instead of just, doing nothing and complaining, which unfortunately some people do.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, see, you're a great example because you are being discriminated against because you have no real world experience after college. So,
Right.
an organization, a publication, they're looking for 3 years, 5 years experience. Their perception is, oh, we're not going to hire Noah because he would be a waste of time. He
Right.
doesn't have the skills and the talent, but how do they know that? How do they really know? Because there are exceptions to every rule. So even bringing you in, and by the way, maybe they could offer you an internship. Maybe they could offer, I mean, there's lots of different ways to a part-time position to give you a chance to show them that you're not a typical college graduate with no experience.
Right.
Um, I, you know, boy, Noah, everyone's so busy these days, it seems. Maybe the population is just out of control because they use the excuse, you know what? We're too busy to meet with Noah, even say hello to him. So we're just going to say Noah, or we won't even tell Noah. We're just not going to meet Noah or give him a chance. And the only thing I would suggest to you is don't give up because there are exceptions to those companies also. And there are some companies who will give young people a chance, old people a chance, people who don't fit in the box. And that's why we spoke briefly. That's why LinkedIn or creating a large network, of people, because you never know who's watching this podcast and he says, "Oh, wow, that Noah seems pretty sharp. Maybe I'll tell him about her, about, it's not who you know, it's who you knows who knows who." So,
Right.
the world of networking and making connections to me, that's really the new currency when you're looking for a job.
Yeah, I actually just recently started posting some of my teasers that I make on LinkedIn just to showcase
So
what I
I love
do.
that.
I originally didn't because I thought that the teasers that I make, and I know that the podcast I do is not quote unquote work friendly because people could hear, oh, he's got a foul mouth. Half the episodes he posts have explicit stuff in it. That doesn't show good business in that. However, I thought if I showcase what I do and maybe showcase interviews I've done, conducted interviews as well, and show kind of some of the skills I show do behind the scenes, maybe someone on LinkedIn will look at that and see that I have experience. And like everyone, some people know, but I run this whole thing by myself. I do all the recording.
I did not know that.
I do all the recording, I do all the editing, I do all the social media posting. I mean, I do all the teasers, I do everything. I mean, everything has been run by me. I've done
Right.
everything. I don't have no one that's working for me. I'm not paying anyone to work for me. I, mainly because I don't have that money to be able to pay someone for their work. So it would
To
just
hire a staff. Right.
so it would be really it would just be kind of a waste of time for them because they're just doing all this stuff and not get paid. So I'd much rather would save the money and do it myself, so then that way they don't do all this hard work, they don't get rewarded for it in a way. It's
Right.
so I've done everything by myself, and I don't think a lot of people know that about how much hard work I've put into this. Like, I have about probably 40 episodes that I have backed, logged up, ready to just be edited. That's how what happens when you're one man show. And yeah, you made such a great point. I think that employers should give people a chance because even if someone comes in and they're just recently graduated college, they have 1 year experience in what they're working with, and someone that they're wanting to hire is wanting 10 years of experience, you'd be surprised what some people can do because they could surprise you and say, oh, you actually do better than half the people that have been here for years do on the first day. I mean,
Yeah. Yeah.
here's a good example about this. I did an internship for my last year semester of college before I graduated. I worked at a radio station. I was an internship there. I was lucky enough to get there, and even internships at the time were difficult to get, shockingly. And then this place said, "You know what? I'm gonna give you a shot. We're gonna give you a chance." And I accepted the offer. And the first day, it was a lot of training, a lot of doing a lot of back behind the scenes because I worked at a radio station, had to run a show. So of course, for people that don't know, it was like running the soundboard. So if you're ever listening to the radio or you've heard the radio in the past, it was me basically introducing the show or just kind of working the buttons on there. I would raise and lower the volumes of the microphones in the studio. I would actually go to commercial and actually would have to answer the telephones as well. So it was mostly all those tasks that most people behind the scenes do. And I remember the first day he wanted me to do it. It was first day, and he said, I've not had someone do that well on their first try. I've had multiple people come on here that do good, but they of course have multiple mistakes. And, I don't shun them for that because of course it's their first day. For you to only have only like one little tiny error during that whole 2 hour show was impressive. So
Yeah,
he
not
actually
bad.
said, "You're probably that was." He said, "For your first time, you did absolutely outstanding," and I took that like literally as a compliment because I was nervous because on radio you have to be timed really perfectly, or else there's this
Sure.
long awkward pause, or there's this long very it kind of gets everything off key. So I had to be very much on guard and had to be on basically on standby. So I was very busy, but that kind of just showed you that you can surprise employees as long as you work hard enough and you're really dedicated to the work. Sometimes they'll be surprised at how well you do in the job force to where they might hire you on that, but it takes the employer's responsibility to give you that chance to be able to prove them wrong. And until they do that, I'm like, yeah, I don't really see the recruiting process or people getting a job any easier until
Yeah, yeah.
employers step up and do.
Yeah, and that's the thing. There are some employers who will give you a chance. Sometimes it's hard to find them because there's a lot of employers who won't give you the chance. The only thing I would say, not to you necessarily, but to anyone listening, I know it's difficult, but try not to get discouraged. Don't give up. It's a numbers game, and you got to find. It's like finding a friend, a spouse, a relationship in our personal lives. Sometimes you have to go through a lot of friends to find a best friend, to find that really, the person who kind of matches up with you. It takes a while. Same in a job search. Sometimes it takes longer than you expected, and it's easy to get frustrated, but try not to and just keep your head down and keep trying.
In the introduction that I introduced you with, you actually recruit efforts for companies and clients not only in the States but in Canada and overseas internationally. Do you
Yeah.
see the same problem internationally when it comes to people finding jobs, or is it just a problem here within the States?
Right. Well, sometimes it's different problems, but boy, there's problems everywhere. Like for example, in the United States right now, there's a very low unemployment rate.
Yeah.
So a lot of people are working, but we are such a big country. There's also a lot of people who are not working, at the same time. In some of the other countries, there's a very high unemployment rate. There's a lot of workers who are not skilled enough. There are a lot of workers who are not qualified enough in other countries, so they remain unemployed, and there's a very high poverty rate. The schooling, sometimes, Noah, the educational systems are nowhere near what they are like in Canada or the United States. We can have our complaints about our country, but at the end of
Yeah.
the day, our education's pretty good. If you want to get a really good education, you kind of can. Um, in some of the other countries, it's not available. So it does make it difficult for a lot of the candidates to find a good job, sometimes just for different reasons.
For comparing to recruiting, or in regards to recruiting today, what's the biggest misconception Americans typically have about recruiting, and how do you challenge it in your work?
Yeah. And when you say, in the US, do you mean the candidates or the employees or the employers having that misconception?
I guess a mixture of both, probably more of, I guess, employers.
Sure. So I'll start with employers. Employers in the US, sometimes they feel like, what do I need a recruiter for? All they do is go on LinkedIn or Indeed and they find a resume and then they send it to me. I could do that on my own. And that's really not the case because most of the time we're not just going on Indeed or LinkedIn, we're actually establishing a relationship with employees, with candidates, thoroughly vetting them, screening them, making sure that they fit the culture. And it's what I think, a tremendous value to the employer. So sometimes our value is minimized by employers, and they still have a tremendous pain in not being able to hire top talent, but they're hesitant to use recruiters because they think we're doing the same thing that they're doing, and we're really not. From the employee standpoint, the candidate standpoint, I don't think people know this enough. But very often, Noah, we have jobs available that are not public. They're not out there in the open market. No one knows about these job openings except for the recruiters of these companies. So if you're just a regular person looking for a job on Indeed, it's not going to be advertised. It won't be advertised on LinkedIn. Connecting with a recruiter costs candidates zero. If I was in a job search, okay, and thankfully I'm working today right now, but if I was in a job search, I would connect with 10 or 20 different recruiters. I would try to find recruiters who focus in my specialty. So for you, I would focus on recruiters who handle media, journalism, maybe, advertising, audio, video, things like that that's have something to do with what I want to do, but it doesn't cost. Recruiters typically do not charge anything from a candidate. The employer pays the recruiter's fees, not the candidate. So I think that's a misconception. And if I was in a job search, I'd be signing up with a lot of recruiters to help me find some opportunities.
In the hiring phase, what's one mistake you see companies make over and over again, and how can they fix this mistake so that it doesn't happen or continue to happen?
Yeah. Well, from the employer standpoint, I really feel that it's just looking, judging the book by its cover. I know it's a corny expression, but they literally have software, Noah, that if you don't have the right amount of keywords on your resume, you go into the do not call pile. So that there's no human set of eyes that will even look at it. But if they are looking for someone with a particular skill set and you don't have it on your resume loud and clear, maybe 3 times or 5 times or 1 time, it goes. So again, we were talking before about not being in the box. They're not even going to talk. They'll never know you. It literally will be their search engine looking at your resume, scanning it and putting it in the call or do not call pile. So to me, I don't like that. To me, look, I understand we want to use technology. I just think we're passing up on some good talent. I don't love that practice.
I didn't know this was a thing, but apparently there's workforce trends. So, how do you stay ahead of these trends while keeping the human element intact?
Right. That's a great question. Noah, you gotta read a lot. I get a lot of newsletters that come to me. I go to a lot of conferences. I network with a lot of folks in the HR and recruiting space. So it helps me and it helps my department, my company. It helps us stay current. Yes, I'm on social media to learn. I listen to some podcasts. I got to tell you, Noah, today, in 2025, it's much easier to stay with the trends, to stay with the times than ever before. I mean, there's Chat GPT to teach you about Chat GPT. There's no excuse to not be up to date with your team, with your hiring, with your company, based on the amount of information we have at our fingertips.
I'm just seeing this from, or I've heard about this from numerous people. Is it, would it be easier for people to, instead of having to worry about going out to jobs and finding it on their own, just starting their own company or just start working for themselves to where all the hard work will end up to where they'll start getting paid themselves? Has that just become more of an easier way for people to, I guess, work since the workplace is really difficult right now?
Yeah, look, it's a great topic because not everyone's an entrepreneur, right? Not everyone should run their own business, but
Right.
maybe this is a reason to go after it. Like, there's the very well known. He's a podcaster and he owns a media company, Gary Vaynerchuk, Gary V, as he's known. He always talks like, if I lost my job, I could make money. I could make $1,000 a week because I would go to garage sales and I would buy things for $2 and sell them for $10. And, there's talk about information at our fingertips. There's more ways to own your own business than ever before, Noah. So I think for some in the population, because it's so difficult to get a job, maybe they are starting their own business. It could be the best thing that ever happened for them. And then for other people who are not suited for running their own business, yeah, they have to focus on educating themselves, training themselves, and sticking with it. and getting a job, a good job with a good company. So it's kind of a loaded question, and I'm going to turn that question and ask you a question if it's okay. But what is running this podcast doing for you? Because I look at you now as running your own business. Now, you haven't scaled it yet to make $1 million, maybe, but
Right.
it could lead to that. You get a sponsor here, you get a sponsor there, you start to bring in sponsorships, lead to maybe more of an audience. It could lead into a lot. Have you thought about whether it's a podcast or something else, but the fact that you are running everything like a business owner, have you thought about starting your own business?
That's a really good question. And the podcast is funny because when I initially started this show, it was more of a hobby. I didn't expect for it to take off like it has. Um, I've talked about it recently in some episodes that have just come out that um I had interviewed the founder of Podmatch, Alex Sanfilippo. He was the founder of Podmatch and is been the owner of how we got connected on here. He had actually reached out to me saying that he was part of a podcasting company and that he really liked the flow and kind of really liked the idea behind my podcast and thought I would be a good fit for their network. Well, I
Right.
initially was hesitant at the time because I had a lot of before that I had about two or three emails come in not related to podcasting, but for job offers that ended up being scams. So I initially thought that it was another scam and all that, but I thought, let me do the research first and let me look into it to just see if it's actually a scam or is it actually a legitimate thing. And I didn't see anything negative about this company, had not heard anything like, oh, there's this catch. So I took the chance of, okay, I'm gonna sign up with them. I pay like a short membership, but the thing on there was that you get paid for interviewing guests on here. That was the part that I was really hesitant on and was waiting to see. However, the first month came around and I had gotten cash for it. So to some people, it's that question could be for certain people. I consider it a job because I do technically get paid to do the podcasting, but it's not, it's weird because it's like your own boss, but you also have someone you talk to, but they're not really your boss. So it's difficult. Some people could see it, well, it's just like a paid hobby. See, I got for a few years ago I donated plasma for like to make some extra cash, and I thought that it was considered work. So on my resume, I was gonna put it under work experience because I thought, well, you get paid to do it, so that's a job. I mean, that's just how my mindset was. Thought if you do
Right.
anything, it's a job that gets paid. And one of the people I went to help with my resume said, well, no, it would be more community service, but then I thought, but it got paid. So then when I was going to add this on my resume, I thought, well, do I put this under work experience? Do I put this under just regular volunteer experience? Do I put it under as a skill? So to some people, some people can say, well, it's not a job because it's not like a full-time thing. You don't do it all day. But some people it might be. So I, it's a good question for other people to have. I consider it a job since I run everything. But of course it doesn't pay the bills. It's not like I get paid thousands of dollars to do it. It's still work in progress. But I feel like until you got like paid sponsorships that you were able to monetize podcasts, I think then that would be more of people's idea of, oh, then it's a job because you're getting paid more. So I consider it a job now, but some people might have a different opinion.
But you mentioned it was a hobby, and I can't tell you how many hobbies, how many businesses start out as hobbies, and then they turn into a business, and then they turn into a career. So, I have one question I've been dying to ask you, and maybe it's been answered on some of your episodes and I just haven't heard it. So I love the name. How did you come up? What is it? Does it mean? Does lethal venom mean something specifically? And how'd you come up with it?
Yeah, that's a great question. I love when people ask this question because it really kind of pertains to how the show goes. I was really involved with speaking the truth, and I wanted my story to be heard. And I had basically all my life been silenced from everyone. No one ever wanted to hear what I wanted to say. No one ever wanted to give me a chance to talk. So when I was doing this podcast, I was actually in a podcasting class at Auburn. There was a new podcasting class that had actually got introduced there that had just started, and I was luckily one of the first few students to be able to get in there. And we during that class had to, for one assignment, had to pitch an idea to the class. And I had this idea where I wanted to do a book podcast, which I do have book podcasts out, but I don't really post on there as much right now. I'm trying to get that back up and going. But at the time I pitched that, but while I was doing that, this idea of me wanting to be able to just kind of talk whatever I wanted to kind of came about from that idea of wanting to pitch it. So then it was kind of a thing of, well, do I pitch one or the other, or do I just do both? So I think I had pitched both ideas, and some people kind of were against this idea of my show because they thought, well, you might run out of ideas, the name might not be good, and it was still kind of nameless at that time. It didn't really have a name, but it was one of those times where people critiqued it, and I didn't really take the criticisms. I didn't really take what they said. I thought this is one of those things where I said, it's kind of screw what people say, go what you're good of what you want to do. And so
Right.
that's kind of what I did. And so Lethal Venom came from, I wanted it to be kind of a name and kind of have a meaning. So sometimes a lot of the truth that I tell is a very harsh truth that sometimes hurts, and that sometimes when people hear it, it'll hurt them. So that's kind of where the name comes from. It's how, Venom's always lethal, and how lethal is really harmful and hurtful to you. Well, that's how the truth can be sometimes.
Yeah, I think it's a very strong and memorable name. So, good job with that because memorable, strong. I mean, that's what you want maybe for a podcast. So, I love it. So, yeah, thanks for sharing that. That was good.
You know, it, it's such a hard question to probably get an answer to for right how the working place is, but what advice do you have for these college students that are getting close to graduating, or they're just starting college and they want to get ahead of the workplace and they want to get a good lead so then that way when they graduate, hopefully they don't have to deal with this same issue I have. What advice do you have for them of how to approach jobs and how to get more of a yes, we would like to hire you, and less of the no, you're not interested?
Yeah. Okay. Oh, well, first of all, thanks for that opportunity. And I hope there are some college age, recent grads, people having trouble. But number one, yeah, if I'm in college, I am opening up, creating my LinkedIn profile first. It's free. It is a professional networking site. It's not social networking like Instagram and Facebook and Snapchat. You are you are not there to find buddies or friends to go to a party with. You're there to it's your online business card. So you put up a professional picture and you start contacting people in business. And you don't just like look at them and stalk them from afar. Feel free, connect with them and say hello. Introduce yourself. No, you're not looking for a job yet, maybe because you're a sophomore, in college. But you can let them know, hey, I'm going to be looking for some internships in 2 years, in 1 year. But creating a strong network would be my number one, my clear number one, my number one advice for, by the way, not just young, inexperienced, college age, for any job seeker. LinkedIn should be your number one tool. It just makes the world a lot smaller. The second thing is, try to figure out what you want to do. It's always nice if you do know that. And if you don't, be open to taking a job that may show you some things you never even thought of. Just like just like I'm asking employers, I'm asking the companies out there to have an open mind with employees, with new hires. My message to your audience would be have an open mind with what you want to do and where you'd like to work. Don't worry about what you read. Go in, ask questions, and be curious. Probe the hiring manager, ask a lot of questions, ask to speak to someone who works there. Don't take someone who you never met's word for anything. Go in there and see and smell and look at the place and start to trust your own judgment, but educating yourself as much as you can. Those would be an additional couple of things. No, I hope that helps a little bit.
I'm one of the first few people that would also recommend LinkedIn as well. I was very late to the probably, I guess, getting my LinkedIn page up and ready. So I would recommend it, even if you're a junior or even a senior in high school. I think it would
Yeah.
be great just to
Yes.
have that open and available at that point. It's totally optional to you. I mean, if that's too early, I would understand that, but the least that you could do is the bare minimum be if you're a freshman in college, have one already up. That if you don't make one in high school, as soon as you get into college, have one ready, because that way you can actually showcase your work experience. There's so much that LinkedIn offers that you
Well,
can.
you can connect with your professors, you can
Yep.
connect with your fellow students,
Mhm.
students that you meet, I mean, people, whether it's in the fraternity, the sorority, playing sports, the chess club, doesn't matter. You should try to have as many friends on LinkedIn from your university, because those could be connections for life.
Yeah.
You'll always have that connection, and that thing in common with those students as well. So I agree.
Yeah, and as you said, it's not like Instagram and Facebook, so don't be going on there posting, "Oh, I'm at the bar on Friday night. We're doing a
No,
Friday
no,
night live." Don't post stuff like that.
no,
Keep that for
no, for sure.
keep that for the personal ones. Don't put that on the LinkedIn. If you want to put that on social media, put it on like Instagram or Snap.
Noah, let me say, I would do this again. I really enjoyed it. It was the fastest hour I've ever seen. So if you ever want me back, please, reach out. We could talk about something else, the same thing, totally up to you. I do have to run, like you said, for my next appointment, but I can't thank you enough for speaking with you. I really enjoyed it.
Well, no problem, and I appreciate you, and I'll make sure to have my put all of his links down below. I know we didn't really get the chance to do that, but he does have a website as well as social media links that he has provided me. I will put those in the description box below. But I will let you
Thank
go
you.
ahead and get out. Feel free to go. But again, thank you for joining me. And yes,
All
I'd
right.
love to have you back.
Yeah, thank you. And by the way, I'm the only Walter Sabrin on LinkedIn or Facebook or Insta, so I'm very easy to find. But thank you so much, sir. Again, I'm very proud of you and I'm very impressed by what you do.
Well, thank you so much, and I wish you the best of luck. So thank you.
You too. Thank you, Noah.
I really appreciate Walter for being on here to tell us a little bit about the job experience live. It's something that a lot of people do face, and it's a challenge right now. It's sad that this has to be a thing of conversation, but like how all the big crimes are. Yeah, I shouldn't be talking about it, but here we are. He does have, and I'll do his promotion for him. He is Walter Sabrin. He has a website. If you go to his LinkedIn. It's Walter Sabrin. It's all that on his social media's accounts, and I'll put that, and of course I'll put all this information down in the description box below. I'll put links so you don't have to go find it. It's all in one place, easy for you to find. If you would like to follow me on social media, Instagram and TikTok, it's Lethal Venom Podcast on there, and Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube as Noah's Podcast. On there, I just post behind the scenes details about the shows. I also post teasers and trailers for upcoming shows and just other fun stuff on there for you to feel free to check out if you would like to. It's no problem if you don't. And you can also listen to Lethal Venom wherever you get your podcasts from. It's on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, YouTube, and Pandora. You're more than welcome to follow the podcast on there so that you'll be notified of when new episodes come out. If you don't, that's totally okay, totally fine. Not gonna force you to. I do appreciate all of you guys for tuning in today for this episode of Lethal Venom, and I will most definitely catch y'all in the next one. Y'all stay safe and y'all have a great rest of your day and week, and I'll catch you in the next episode of Lethal Venom.